you're just fearful of like, maybe I'm a fraud, maybe Staki Waone. People are about to discover that I'm a fraud. That is the magic. The magic is it's like when we say there's no big break. My favorite phrase for the year.
Yes.
We don't condemn ourselves into growth. We love ourselves into evolution.
Hello, my name is Muthoni Gitau. Welcome to another episode of Just Doing Life, the podcast, a space where we explore all the parts of life that we do not like to say out loud. After all, we are all just winging it.
Welcome to another episode of Just Doing Life, and today we will be talking about showing up as yourself. We will be having this conversation with Nyokabi Macharia, an award-winning actor, director, and producer, an adventurous soul who not only enjoys a good time as well as her quiet time. She says that the way to her heart is through a good meal, and that's how I got her here. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so happy you're
I
here.
am so this chick. I keep telling her, I need a masterclass with her because of how she just moves through life. I know you guys, you already announced that, right?
That I moved?
That you moved.
Yeah.
And a lot of us saw the kind of work that she put into that house. Me, I said, by the time you uproot me from that, let me tell you, it will take a lot. And I'm just inspired by how you are able to let go of things and start from scratch. And I think we had this conversation again some other time, and I kept asking you, so how, mimi, the minute nimetengeneza nyumba, sijui nimeifa, mi ujue hapo, I'm giving myself a good 10 years, babe. There is no way I'm moving anytime soon. So anyway, thank you so much for having me. I'm so inspired by your spirit and by your energy and your creativity. You're literally one of the most creative people I know. Like all around. And we even worked with her, by the way, for a show that I did. And I remember she was so resourceful, even in the rehearsal room. You are not just a set designer. You are like, oh my God, have you guys considered doing this and this? Because I feel like the character is this and I was just like, I love this. Anyway,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my, no, look at you. You're here. I was like, I'm here to give her half flowers. And she's like,
oh, you have to.
But like, I also admire like how you show up. The reason I was like, this has to be with Nyokabi because I've been around you in so many instances, and the one thing is like I've never seen a shift in, there's people when we are around famous people and then like someone changes, or when you are in a certain setting and you're like, oh, I've never met this person before because of how they move and they morph depending on crowds. I've never noticed that with you, because every time I'm somewhere with you, it's you, like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes me feel
very happy.
That's a very nice feeling. I'm really glad.
Because I love that about you, and that's why I was like, this conversation has to be with you.
Yeah.
At first, I had labeled it as loud and proud.
Woo!
Yes.
See, in all aspects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when I was and this was before I even started the podcast.
Yeah.
I put together a list of all the people I would want to have on the podcast and what I would want to talk to them about. And next to your name, it said loud and proud. I didn't even know what it meant at the time. Before we get into all the juicy things about the episode, over here, there's something we do in every episode.
Yes.
We have to share a moment of joy from the previous week.
Ooh, I love that. So, okay, just before I share that has just reminded. So every day, and this I was taught by my manager, Anchi. Every day at 6 p.m.
Yes.
I have an alarm clock. And it's my moment of gratitude.
Oh.
And I say 3 things that I'm grateful for on that day. And wherever I am, I'll share that moment with whoever I am. And
like you say it out loud.
Yeah, I'll say it out loud and I'll be like, oh my God, this is my moment of gratitude. So there's this thing I do, and then I'll be like, what are you grateful for? And it's just it's interesting how I have connected with so many people through that, and how just human beings, it's anyway, now to answer your question. So something that has brought me joy the past 1 week. Creating my vision board.
I saw the video.
Yeah. It has been absolutely amazing. I think And I said this in that video. It's every beginning of the year. I'm just like, guy, this is the year I finally decide that maybe this is not my path. Maybe this is the year that now it's just all going to fall apart. Maybe I'm gonna go back home. Oh my God, maybe. And it's, I don't know. It's just the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Fear of uncharted territories. Fear, and then in this our business,
we're in the gig economy.
You ain't got a check. There's
no guaranteed salary every single month.
And so you've got to keep on reinventing yourself and trying to look for stuff and look for gigs. And it's like the feeling of when you're getting onto stage.
Yeah.
You'd think that experience would sort of remove jitters every time you go onto a stage. But let me tell you, it doesn't get old. Me, anytime I'm about to get onto a stage, I'm just like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Oh my God, can I go now? And then I go into it and I'm like, this actually feels like home.
Nice.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed putting it together and just reviewing the things that I've been able to achieve and those that I have not, because I can't sit here and tell you, oh, I've been able to tick off everything that but it's the things that I did and I'm like, and I'll be able to do these other ones. Yeah.
I like that because also I think in reviewing, because sometimes you might feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
But in looking back, so for me, what I did is I call it the audit. So I audit my life.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I audit, like, even with the move and everything that happened, I had audited my life. And this past year, I've said so many times I feel stuck. And yes, and I was feeling stuck because I wasn't feeling like I was growing. You know, when you feel like everything, so that house was very time consuming on so many levels. So I even stopped enjoying small things. I used to celebrate small wins all the time, but then it's like there's another milestone to be hit, there's another one.
That's big.
I stopped celebrating the small wins because I was like, okay, cool, so we finished the bedroom. Now we need to start working on the living room. How are we going to do that? Where's the money coming from? How am I going to go around that? And it was just constantly every single... I learned so much about myself, about the way I work, about the way I present in the world. And I was like, oh my God, I'm such a social person. I love social interactions. I love being alone in the house. But I also enjoy going outside and seeing people and hanging out with them. And then after that, I come back home, I'm like... That was a good day. Yeah. I talked to a couple of people. Yeah. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah. I wasn't getting that. So I didn't realize until like the end of the year that being stuck was because I didn't feel like I was getting challenged. I had gotten into a certain safe routine where everything that was coming was sort of expected. I knew it was coming. I knew. So now you're just there. You're like, I was coasting.
Me, the fact that you're saying, Ati, you were comfortable. Yeah. When I look at that house, I'm like, what part of renovating this is... What?
Yeah.
That's insane to me. That's insane.
Now you see, like, again, perception. Yeah. Right? Because now from the other side, it looks like, hey, you're constantly...
You're moving mountains.
Yeah. But for me now, I was like... Because I think the biggest mountain was... making the house livable. Because when I did that. Okay. I was living in it. And then after that, I was like, okay, cool. Now we're doing the makeovers. These are like everyday things for me. You get, like, it's just another day at the job.
Me, I need to come to the school of makeover of Muthoni, because but listen, for me, even starting a makeover, it's like, first of all, I need to think about it. First of all, I have to be like, hey, but then where am I going to get this? And then and it's just such a big thing in my mind. Yeah. And the fact that you're saying this is an everyday, I mean, yes, it's your job, but in my head, I can't even begin to comprehend where to begin. Let alone it's to begin. I'm like, where do I even start with that? That's
Perception
incredible.
Is everything.
That's incredible, man.
So yes. Oh, for me, my moment of joy. Yeah. My moment of joy was like, I saw the most absolutely beautiful rainbow this past week.
Wow. Oh, I saw you.
Yes. Oh my God. I was so happy. I even did, like that small jump of excitement. We were like, oh. I did that, and the entire time, so I was walking down to a friend's house, and as I was walking, so the rainbow was in front of me. I was talking to it. So I was just walking down and I was talking to the rainbow. I'm like, first of all, you're so gorgeous. And then I'm seeing like and I'm like, oh, how far do you go? I wonder who else. So present.
I love that.
In that moment, I was so present. I was so happy.
Yeah.
From that small thing.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're saying you look forward, the gratitude.
Yeah.
So for me, what I do is I journal.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and then I also have to write things I'm grateful for today. So after I do the journal, the next page, so I have this notebook that has a blank page, and then it's lined on the other side. So the blank page, I'll all my thoughts. Then on the lined parts, like I'm grateful for this,
for the sun, for the what has that practice has taught me is to be grateful for the most mundane things.
Yes,
because most of the time we're like, oh my god, I won a kalasha. Yes, I'm grateful. It's easy to be grateful when things are okay. I remember last year I did. We were going round counties. There's a project that took us round counties.
Yes,
and this particular county that we went to, we got to the accommodation and we were like, Ati?
Huko ni wapi?
Who is? As we were like, take us back to Nairobi. We are not sleeping here. And so guys are just furious about. And so I started this practice with these guys that we were doing the job with. And I remember that day we had just been like, there's no way. Young people are mad. We're like, how can you think that you can take us to such an accommodation and we're gonna be here for how long? Surely. And so there was just like very negative energy. It was negative energy. And I remember, so finally we were settled in a very good hotel and we're like, oh thank God, but still we're like, but how can you even?
Why did you start us there?
Did you start us there? The problem is not that now we are even in this nice hotel. The problem is that you even thought
we could
sleep there. So there was this whole situation. So we are having dinner and guys are like, me at a little gratitude, we are not gonna do that. Then I told them, actually, that gratitude list, it's for moments like this. And I remember after everyone said what they're grateful for, the energy just shifted.
Yeah.
It shifted, and I think that moment reminded me why it's so important to do these things, because it's so easy to be bogged down by such... It's very little things. It's things that like you on another day you'd be like, that's not a big problem. But on certain days you'd be like, Ati, they did what? Ati, what? And this life is short, man.
Yes.
It is so short.
It's short and long at the same time.
Yes.
It's such a weird thing.
And negative energy really consumes so much from you and that kind of thing.
And then it has that snowball effect.
Oh yeah.
So now suddenly we are not even enjoying this dinner because we're in a mood.
You're like, kwanza hata itakula.
Let's say some time Alcoco like this is the best meal they've made for you guys. That wako like, hey, we have amazing actors in the house. Yeah. I'm going to make them the most. Because it ends up having that. So even now, the small things that you normally enjoy, suddenly are meaningless. You won't enjoy them because of one thing. Yeah. I think that's the importance of dealing with emotions or feeling things when they happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And then letting it go.
Yeah.
And then being like, okay, cool. What now? I used to think that was weird and stupid and I don't know what, but it makes sense. Because then when you don't release it in that moment, the next moment now becomes affected. The one after that becomes affected. Because now suddenly it's like, oh my God, my Buddha guy kept me waiting. Now I'm going to be late. And then now I trip because I'm looking for an Buddha guy. Now suddenly I forgot what because I was in a rush. Now...
And then in your head, it just becomes a big monster.
Yes.
And personally, as Nyokafi, I get stressed with very small things. Like me, the biggest of things, I'm like, see this one, we'll just send it. But small things... like timekeeping, like this is not how we would, that's not the color that we did. It's the smallest of things that frustrate me. Yeah. And I feel like it's not working.
It's like, acha tuache.
This is just not working. Why are we even doing this? If we can't get the color right, why are we doing it? Yeah. And so I'm still learning. My goodness. In fact, one of my words for this year is patience. Okay. I have no patience.
I'm so glad you also have words for the year.
Oh yeah. One of my things, it's patience, because I don't think I have patience in
I think my problem is I have too much patience.
Really?
Yeah. I'm the kind of person who, like, someone will be like, oh, we were meeting at 2, it's 6 p.m. and I'm waiting for you. Come on, umenembe unakuja.
Oh, God.
I'll be like, yeah, maybe something happened. So I'll wait for you. You come, you tell me what happened.
Now, me, I'm the exact opposite. And then,
2:05, uko like 20.
At 2:05? Me, when I say we are meeting at 2, and I know I was late today, by the way. So maybe Muthoni is looking at me like, hey, when you are here 15 minutes late. But, and I think it came from, so when I was in school, class starts at 10.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you arrive at 10. It means you are there at 9:45.
Yes.
You've done your stretches. You have drank water if you need to drink water. You have changed your clothes. You have gone to the toilet if you need to. At 9:59. At exactly... As in by 10, Muthoni, when you walk in at 10, they're looking at you like is everything okay? I remember I used to work in a theater. I used to be front of house staff. And the show, so we'd have like 2 shows, one in the afternoon and then we'd have one in the evening. I remember there's a day, the evening show used to start at, I think, like 6 p.m. or something like that. And I remember it was 6:02. And customers just came, is everything okay? Is everything okay? Is it like, they're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Something is terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Because we have not started. Yeah.
Wow. Kenyan events. We're looking at you because...
That's why our shows in Shots from Africa.
Yes,
nice
always on time.
Always on time. Yeah. Apart from, there was one show last year for Graveyard Queens that it was the opening show and Tech was As when you say at 2.
Yes.
At exactly 2, the national anthem is playing.
Yeah.
And it's just like whether we have to honor the time of those that have
arrived on time. Because for me it's always that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I got here at 5:30, why are you starting at 6:30? Because there's someone at the gate. That's none of my business. So. Because if I show up at 7, alafu it's like, we started 5 minutes ago. Yeah. Why would I show up at 5 next time?
That's what I'm saying.
Why would I?
But now also,
it's a culture.
Now I have learned, because now I became such a stickler for time.
Yeah.
That now it was a bit more, I'm not able to give grace. I find it so hard to be like, for me it's like, you were late, period. There's no discussion. Because sometimes, honestly, there are emergencies and those kind of things
happen.
And so now I'm on this other side of learning to give grace.
Yes.
And even though, like, I'll let you know, honestly, I didn't appreciate this. Yeah. I want to still be able to understand that things happen, and I hope that next time, my favorite phrase for the year.
Yes.
We don't condemn ourselves into growth. We love ourselves into evolution.
Ooh, I love that.
I read that, and I think it's nice who shared it on her socials. I saw it, and I was like, this is my phrase for the year.
Yes.
Because Lord, I think as cool. Nyokabi, I'm so... And my mom keeps telling me, you're too hard on it. So I'm like, you're just saying that because you're my mother. You have to say nice things to me. It's like, no, I really think you... And I'm like, no, it's just... This had to be done. I didn't do it. And...
you also have that problem.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, if you don't do something now, it's like, I'm a failure.
And I'm like,
I did everything else. Yeah, sure. But, like, I didn't do this other thing. So I'm a failure. Like,
but then that made me realize I treat other people the same way I treat myself. So now I'm in the process of learning to accord myself grace, because then I'm able to accord other people.
That's true.
There's someone who says you can't give what you don't have.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So if you don't have that grace for yourself, you're not going to be able to extend it to other people.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love that. Oh, look at all the gems.
Yes.
The gems. So, we're talking about authenticity, right? And authenticity is a word that, like, is thrown around a lot. What does it mean to, like, show up as yourself, be authentic?
I think it's not having shame.
Yeah?
I think it's walking into a space and being confident in who you are, what you believe, but also being open enough to hear other things or hear other ideas or see life from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it's so easily said, but it's so hard, especially in this age of social media where everyone is showing off their lifestyles. Everyone is showing off what they're eating today, how they're sleeping, what their house looks like.
Yeah.
It makes it so difficult to stand up and be like, actually, you know what, this is not for me. I genuinely don't enjoy this. I think I prefer this kind of food.
Yeah.
But the kind of quote unquote food that you have probably is not the popular one, you know? And oh God, I think it's showing up and standing up for what you believe and not being ashamed of it. I think shame is it's the opposite word
for
authenticity, if I were to put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. Because there's a book I'm reading. Yeah. It's called A Radical Awakening.
Yeah.
And they talk about shame and how especially women are shamed into servitude, shamed into marriages, shamed into jobs they don't want, shamed into motherhood, because the opposite of not conforming is, again, you're ashamed. I think shame is something that has been used to control a lot.
Absolutely.
Including how people show up, right? Because I like wearing colorful things. But society says that we should fit in, we should wear suits, we should do whatever. Shame is I think shame is the biggest evil, if I can use that word, that we all have to get past.
Yeah.
Even when you think about ego, it's about shame. When people, I'm like, think of the stories of how like men behave around other men who have money. It's like you have to let down your ego, so they shame you. And their jacket kwa gari. Ebu panguza yake. Toa hii meza.
God.
So shame is a controller, right? Which is so sad if you think about it.
I mean, if you even think about our system,
like
844 system, it was all about, oh my God, my primary school. I think about this and it breaks my heart each time. So, oh God, they used to do this thing where at the end of the like midterms or end term, whatever, that kind of thing, they would call the top 10 students at the parade, and then we'd all congratulate them and everything. And then they would also call the bottom 10.
Oh, wow.
And they'd be like, let's laugh at them.
Whoa, wait, what?
Yes.
So like collectively, everyone in the school goes like, ah!
Yes.
No way.
And I remember even as a child at the time, as Nyokabi, thinking, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like actual laughter.
Yes. And some of those people today, there's one who I know is one of the biggest sports players. He plays rugby.
Nice.
And these are people who no one thought that they could amount to anything, you know? And I it's just putting a child through that.
Yes.
That is just, it's insane. It's insane.
It is, honestly.
Yeah. But, and I don't know where I heard this. Kids are some of the worst bullies. In the world.
Oh my Lord, yes.
But now I'm not shocked. Like if I think about it, if as a kid you're told, you're supposed to laugh at that one because they're not smart enough. Of course you're gonna grow up with that mentality.
Yes.
Of course you're gonna grow up bullying other people. Yeah. And so so just going back on that subject of shame and how, and that's like, it's such a controlling factor in our lives and the decisions that we make for ourselves and for our lifestyles even. You know? Yeah.
So how do you know who you are? Like, okay, first, before even how do you know, who are you? Like away from what you do, away from your relationship to anyone. Who's Nyokabi?
Jesus Christ. Unataka kunipatia identity crisis hapa. You know, we were talking about this earlier and I was telling her, it's so insane because, and even nowadays, like leave alone describing myself away from my career, even with my career nowadays, I choke a little bit. I'm
really?
I've been asked that question, I think, twice the past week. And I just remember not being as automatic as I've always been.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if it's because of the growth that has happened in my life and now I have more titles to what I do, or it's just, I don't know. But anyway, to answer your question, gosh. Woo! Nyokabi is a very sensitive person. She's someone who genuinely loves life. And has enjoyed her life, even though she's had her shares of like bad, stuff happening. Oh God, she loves adventure, new experiences, new food. Oh my God, food. Oh my God. My best friend and I have this shared love of food. And I think mine was not that much until I met Ricky, and it was like, yeah, food has, oh my God, like I just get that feeling
food
of like, yeah, I really can say there's something like that, because it just makes my soul just like, oh my God, yes. And I love the fact that I know what it feels like to express myself confidently and through avenues that I've been able to sort of actually, grow, if it's through acting, if it's through singing, dancing. I'm someone who really just enjoys being in my body.
Yes, and we see it.
Yes, yeah. I really, really enjoy being in my body and being in my life. And even though sometimes as a normal human being, okay, look at other people's lives, I'm like, guy, I can go on. I'm not even asking you for too much. I'm asking you for a great car and a good house and millions of shillings and a good, just all of that.
We all have that card in I'm not even asking for a private jet. There's people asking for private jets. Me, I'm not asking for that. Like, money is a really tiny list.
Like, Lord, I just want to be, one of the biggest performers. It's not too much to ask for. Yeah. So, but that said, I really, and she's a human being.
Yes.
A human being who is, and I think that's why I said sensitive. I think I'm so sensitive. And, people would look at me and think, I'm so sensitive. I'm
actually shocked, yeah.
Me in my eye.
Because,
oh God.
The one thing I want to leave behind is telling women they're strong. There's words that I definitely want to leave behind. Words like strong, resilient. Because I'm like, no one does that because they want to. You're forced into it. So it's like, I shouldn't have to sit in my resilience for me to have peace of mind, for me to enjoy good things in life, right? So I've never thought of you as sensitive, but now that I know...
Listen.
Now that I know,
I can be offended by like the smallest thing, and you're thinking, huh? Me, it has stuck with me, and I'm thinking, you really offended me. Yeah. Let me tell you something interesting about me. I don't remember. For instance, we could have had a conversation.
Yes.
And then you try to tell me, remember that conversation we had? I'm like, huh? Ati, when? And it happened so many times with my friends. They're like, remember like when we were in uni and then we did this and that? I'm like, was I there? And they're like, what do you mean? You did this and this? I'm like, are you sure I was there? Yeah. I don't remember it. But I remember statements. And I'll tell you word for word.
Something that was said to you.
Something that was said to me, whether positive or negative. There's some stories I give my mom. Yeah. And I'll tell her, when I was a kid,
you said this and that.
Someone said this and that. Do you remember? She's like,
eh? That happens to me as well.
I'm like, and she said this and that and that. I will tell you word for word what you said to me.
I had that same conversation with my mom about a statement that she made that had me questioning myself for years after. God. And it was something she said, like, what, moms just say things, right? And it was, I remember, because it wasn't a positive thing. It was after she'd left for the day, and I was so proud of myself that day. So it was a weekend, and I had cleaned the house, I had done the dishes, like the house was smelling nice.
You were a good African girl.
Yes, I had done my duties, but then I forgot to remove the githeri from the freezer. That was the one thing I forgot. So I had done everything else. And the word she used was useless.
Oh.
Let me tell you, that thing followed me for years. Because now from that moment, it was me proving that I was not useless. You get? In school, in whatever, I was like, guy, after everything I did, like, hiyo kitu moja inanifanya nikuwe useless. You know? And it followed me for years. And I remember when I had that conversation with her, first of all, she was like, I would never say that to you. And I was like, but you actually did. Because for you, you were like, of course, you came with all your things from work, from the day you had, and you took it out on me. But you see, that was the day for me. I was so proud of all the work I had done, and you didn't see it. And she was so apologetic, and I love that nowadays I can have those conversations with her.
Yeah.
But I was telling her that thing followed me for years. I'm having this conversation with her. I'm 23. Bro. When I'm sitting down with her, I'm telling her, you said this to me when I was like 10 years old. And because I think I was actually about 12 at that time, plus 6. It followed me, and that was the time I was like, even now, I am very aware of things that I say to kids, because in my moment of anger, I might say something that will follow my brother for the rest of his life, that will follow my niece for the rest of her life. So I'm always, even when I'm angry, like I remember there's a time I felt so bad. My brother was at my house, and he broke my plate, and I spewed, and after I'd done that, I was like, crap, what did I just do? I'm like, I know what it feels like to be him in such a situation. And I apologized, because then now, again, teach him that adults also say sorry.
They own up
They
to
also
stuff.
make mistakes. What does it mean to show up for yourself, or to show up as yourself? Oh, hey, that's actually interesting. Yeah.
What does it mean to show up as yourself?
Yes.
I feel like I would tie it into what we said, and which is just not having shame in whatever it is that you're doing, and being confident in, if you believe that whatever you're doing is right, if you believe that this thing works for you, this is that thing, I think it's that, and really tuning into your instincts. I think one of the I don't want to say my superpowers, but one of the things I've come to realize that has really progressed me in life was listening to my instincts. And my mom is a testament to this. There are so many decisions that I've made. Any normal human being in that place would be like, no, but the obvious thing is just, there's no way you would. But me, my instinct, ikisema, imesema.
Yeah.
And no one can change my mind. And there are so many instances where I've told my mom, no, this is not, I don't think I should go this way. But logically, I'll have 5 people that I really trust, by the way. Not just random people telling me, no, I think you should go this way. And I remember there's a time it was when I was going to school, and I had just gotten my first gig, and it was just a whole dilemma. And I kept telling my mom, no, this is what I wanted. This is what I'm gonna go for. And she's like, lakini hata ujui kama ume. And I'm like, I hear you, mom, but I'm asking you, please, just trust me. And it really paid off. And another I can tell you about even 3 instances where, because my mom really, I think she's my closest confidant, honestly. And I'll tell her, Mom, I don't think this is, and she's like, aki nakusikia na nakusupport na nakupenda, but are you sure? And I'm like, Mom, you know, one of those instances where it's about the instinct and it's not about logic. And she's like, okay.
And how do you cultivate that? Because
that's a good question.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes you might think that you're operating maybe from instinct, and maybe it's from fear, So how do you differentiate? How do you cultivate to know, like, this is an instinct thing?
I think it comes down to the smallest of things, like, what kind of music do you like? You'll know when you like a certain song. You'll know it. It's immediate. Basically, I remember in uni, I never used to I used to go, we had, Daystar was such an artistic space. And it felt like I needed to like things that were popular or that people said this is the in thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of just flowed into that mentality of, I could tell this is not really my thing. But I'm like, no, it's the thing though.
Tukawote.
Yes. And it got to a point where I was like, I can't even remember what I like. I can't even remember the books that I love reading.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, okay, hold on. I can say that also. I feel like 844 ilitufunza like ignore. When I'm going to wacha kujifanya. Unajifanya, wacha kujifanya.
Yeah.
And so I think also school helped. And even as an actor, it has helped me as an actor to know that my taste is good.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether that is someone else's taste. School sort of helped me to know that when I feel it, I'm not crazy. And one of the things we used to do in school, before every session, there's a program we used to do called body conditioning, which was basically working out.
Okay.
Because
that's why you were saying stretching.
Yes.
In my head, I'm thinking.
Actually, I didn't say that.
When you said that in my head, I thought, maybe it's like an acting class. Because with an acting class, you have to get your body moving.
Exactly.
So I assumed when you said that. I didn't know that was
my background is in musical theater, which means you're going to sing, you're going to dance, you're going to act.
Yes.
And so in order to do these things, you have to be fit. You can't be there on stage singing and dancing. Ukihema. You have to sing while dancing, and so you have to keep fit.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we do in school was something called body conditioning. And every morning, I remember us being told, don't think that when you say you're not aching or you're not don't think you're being a hero. In fact, you're wasting our time.
Okay.
If you have a broken arm and you don't say, you're not a hero. You're wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
Because when you do that exercise and this becomes even more detrimental, it means we can't have rehearsal because you refused to rest.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, in primary we were being forced to be martyrs.
Yes.
The more you can take in abuse and the better. The better. Yes. You're a hero.
Yes.
I remember thinking, and every morning before body conditioning, our teacher would ask, is everyone okay? Because also the time frame between today and tomorrow morning, I might have gone and I might have broken my leg.
Yes.
Every morning when I was in that program without failure, we could not start the program before he ensures that every single person is fit to take part in that. And we really ignore safety.
Yes.
Which ties into how we've been taught to ignore what your body tells you.
Yes.
Ukilala kidogo, wewe kazi yako ni kulala tu huku.
It's like umechoka for real. Like your body is asking for the rest.
Your body is saying,
you need to rest. That's why we have a lot of burnout.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Because we've been taught, stop being lazy. You are being lazy.
Yeah.
But now, I think through acting and through even that moment in uni when I was like, I need to say no. It's saying, I know that you love that Muthoni, but actually that's not my thing.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing, you start listening to yourself more and also sitting in silence.
Yes.
A lot of us are always talking and I mean personally, I'm always in like conversations and everything. But let me tell you, Muthoni, I love my personal space. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Me, I love being alone.
I know.
It's what you were saying earlier on. When I'm with people, the thing is, I love people.
Yes.
I love conversations. And then when I'm with you, I'm there.
Yes.
But also when I'm done, I am like...
like there's that, it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, me Sundays, I'll put my phone on airplane mode. I will just be by myself. It's my time.
Yeah.
And I just want to be by myself. And so I think... it's a practice that you sort of cultivate.
Yeah.
Learning to listen to what you want and being okay with the fact that what you want is not necessarily what it might not be necessarily other people's cup of tea.
Yes.
And I think it's something that you have to do over and over again. It's not something that will just come to you. It's that time you say no, but everyone else is saying yes.
And everyone's looking at you crazy, and you have to be okay with people looking at you crazy.
And be like, no.
And it was like, yeah.
That's not my thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, instinct has been such... it's been such a thing for me. To a point where now when I went to school, my singing teacher kept on telling me, you have such a great instinct.
Yeah.
But now we need to get your skill level to match your instinct.
Yeah.
Because to be a better performer, you want to be highly skilled, but also highly instinctual.
Yes.
Because now what you'd find, my instincts were up there as a performer. Like, I will go with the flow on stage. Nothing can shake me.
Yeah.
But sasa now you'd also find there are other people, they are so skilled. If you do anything outside that shit music, oh my god, you have discombobulated them. They're like, stop the show. We can't continue the show because you said a C note. Now we are at a D. Now what are we going to do? And then now it was the challenge to, now for me, it was, just flow.
It's like, we're all flowing. We're vibing, guys.
But now also that was too much. Sorry. That was too much because as a performer, you want to be highly skilled, but also have an instinct that skill does not interfere. You're not too rigid.
Yeah.
But also now don't be too flexible because, for example, if you're singing in an ensemble, which is like a group and whatever, you have to take care of your other people.
Yes.
Because when you go so much off of your instincts,
now everyone is like, oh crap,
what are we doing?
Hii tulifanyanga siku gani? Kwani nilimiss rehearsals on this day?
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
Instinct for me it's just such a powerful tool for every human being to know that. And sometimes other people will not understand, and that's absolutely fine. You're the one who knows.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself talking yourself out of what you know instinctually?
Yes.
It's like, because I do that. Because I think my instincts are also very good. But my problem is I talk myself out of it. And then later, after I learn my lesson, I come back as like, from the get-go, nilijua, but nilikuwa like, and then now you're like, now I'm paying for it.
But I think it's something that we've been told ever since we were young.
Yeah.
That ever so slightly it comes up and you're like, but no, you must be wrong.
Yeah.
Muthoni, you can't, there's no way you know this.
Yeah.
And so, even though you still have very good instincts.
Yes. You've been taught to doubt yourself.
How many years of doubting yourself and being told that apana,
you can't erase it in one no.
Yes.
No, I'm going this way.
Exactly.
Because if you pay attention to the voices you always hear, it's you'll hardly ever hear your own voice. Because you know what your voice sounds like. You'll hardly ever hear your own voice saying the no. You'll hardly ever, it's always other people's voices. It might be people around you, probably people who are, you're so used to them saying really no, people you respect, people you look up to. That's the voice that pops up, and I was like, wait a minute, you know. And then I started paying attention to the voices in my head. So even like you'd be doing something because there's an exercise we're doing, and you're told, listen to the voice you hear and what it says. So you say something. Literally, they're written. You like read this out loud and listen to what the voice is, and you would hear, and you're like, "But that is not Muthoni speaking." That, and the negative voices are hardly ever you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And can I also say, I think yoga and meditation are also a very good way of cultivating that instinct.
Yes.
Because especially when you're doing like a guided yoga kind of thing. They're always like, listen to your breath, listen to, and you see right now you can't hear your breath because you're speaking, there's so many things happening around us, but when you're still,
you pay attention, you hear everything.
And sometimes when you're doing either a workout or whatever and you're being told adjust yourself like this, and you thought you were just doing it correctly, and then someone comes and adjusts you like just
and they
slightly,
notice the shift.
And then you're like, and by the way,
this works.
So it's about noticing the very little things.
Yes.
And a friend of mine says, like, you really need to, as a human being, challenge yourself to learn a new skill every other time.
Yes.
Because let me tell you the things it teaches you about yourself, let alone the skill itself. It teaches you who you are, even that listening to yourself and like, are you right in certain
even knowing
things?
When your body is saying yes versus right.
Thank you. And you can only know that when you're practicing it.
Yes. Yeah. There's I've been doing this like so part of my spiritual journey has been, of course, it's going inwards, right? So I've been doing this like gathering. So we did a cacao ceremony where, so cacao is like, it's a plant. It's like unrefined cocoa. And when you drink it, it's like, they call it a heart opening plant.
Right.
So in what you do is we meditate. So you drink it, you meditate, and it really relaxes your body. You will be so relaxed. And that thing of you hear everything, including your two hairs when they're like everything. So, and then you go into a meditation. So it's a journey basically.
Oh, wow.
When you're in the meditation, you pay attention to what visions are you seeing, what are you feeling. And the last one we did, you had to be aligned, which was, you had to know how your body says yes and how it says no. And all you had to do was, you'd just stand there very still, close your eyes, and then you say a statement, and then listen to how your body moves. Does it move forward?
Wow.
Or does it move back? So you would say something, and then if the answer is yes, you move. Like for me, when my body is saying yes, it leans forward. When it's saying no, it leans back.
Oh
and it's so subtle. It's not like, it's such subtle movement that you can only notice when you're still. Right? So I was like, it was so that was like, you're aligned. So now you know. Now when you're in the meditation and there's someone guiding you, you pay attention to the visions. You're very present, because even in the meditation you're told like there's a light traveling through your body, so you have to see the light, you're feeling the light, and when you're done, oh my Lord. So now that thing is like knowing when your body says yes and when your body says no. It's something you're saying. Someone will say something to you, you listen to a song, and immediately hata haitakuwa hakuna chords, hata hajaanza kuongea, uko like no.
You're like, no, that's not my jam.
It's not for me. Na kuna yenye tin tin, you're like, ooh, okay, play more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same thing when you're showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
When you're showing up as yourself. How do you know when you're being you?
Yeah.
If you walk into a room and you have to shrink. You know those things when you just walk in, alafu kidogo uko like, immediately, either I'm in the wrong room or I don't think I belong here. Your body has already told you, like the shift in energy. Or there's that thing, one of the things I do when I walk into a room, I don't walk into a room with my head down or looking at a phone. I will put everything away and walk in.
Look people in the eye.
Because for me, my look is always like, I belong here. So if you're looking and you're wondering, uyu na ye ni nani, my look is always like, I'm walking in like I belong here. I don't want to feel, because I feel like when you walk in like this and then you look up, and because the thing is, if I walk into a room and there's a bunch of people, if they're already there, a door opens, naturally they'll be like, oh, and everyone's looking at you. So if I'm like this, I feel like I've started, nimeanza na kujishuku mwenyewe.
And also sometimes it's because we're such a social media whatever, your anxiety inakufanya utake kuonyesha watu, actually no,
I'm
too busy. Excuse me, but actually you're just fearful of like, maybe I'm a fraud, maybe staki waone. And I really love what you're saying about when you walk into a room, being intentional about not doing any other thing. It's, I am here, I have arrived.
Yes.
Now what?
The last show you did, Graveyard Queens. Yeah. There's someone, even it was actually one of the actors who walked up to me after the show, and they said, "Oh my God, you walked in."
Really?
Yes, because I was late.
Yeah.
Because my cab guy, like when you tell someone nikujia 5 alafu at 5 ndo ako like atulikuwa nikukujia saa ngapi. So I was actually really angry at him, and I was like, I don't want this to mess up my mood. So I walk in, and of course people are seated, and I was like, naturally I sit at the front. I'm short. I am not going to fight with people's heads like this. I walked all the way to the front and I sat down. And it was Muthoni.
Yeah.
And she's like, you and your hair, your big hair. And when we went for the intermission, a bunch of people walked up to me and was like, hey, like you just walked in and walked straight to the...
Really?
Yes. And I was like...
Wow, I love that.
I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
I'm here.
And I went and I sat and I enjoyed
that.
the show and I finished and I walked back and I went home.
You know what? Now circling back to also showing up as yourself.
Yeah.
It's failing loudly.
Yes. Yes.
Not to say that you walking in was failing, but it was...
No, yeah.
Obviously, people are thinking, who the hell is this? You've come
how
late.
How dare you?
But it's being like, yeah, I'm late. I'm sorry, but I'm here now.
I'm also here.
Yeah. And I think... Again, going back to the shame factor.
Yes.
Failure is attached to shame.
Yes.
But the moment you can own that shame that people are trying to impose on you.
Yes.
Like what Nyashinsky did when he fell during the Sauti Sol concert.
Yes, yeah.
He posted it first.
Yes. It's like
that way he has taken the power from you.
Yes.
There's
now you can't use it to shame him.
You can't use it to shame him.
Go to when you alianguka.
Yeah.
He's still a good.
Yeah.
Right? And he fell.
Exactly.
And he's like, hey fam, I fell.
And I think if we can also learn, and I say we because even me, I am in that bracket, to fail loudly and to be like, I think
I do a lot of that. And I think that's why when people go like, oh my God, you're so resilient, you're so this, it's because I think, again, in the age of social media, we only want to share the good things. We only want to share the highlights. Yeah. But now when people are like, hey, I'm divorced, people are like, oh my God, that's a failure. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It happens every single day, but most people will not talk about it. They will not share it because it's something to be ashamed of. I'm like, hey, it's over. We're done.
One of my turning points in my career was realizing the magic is in the raw moments. It's not in me, nimekuja nimeiva ka actor.
Yes.
But when earlier on during my career, I wanted to show up in the rehearsal room as a finished product. And that really held me back. So even when I'm ashamed to even... I keep saying the best actors are just actors who have no shame.
Yeah. Yes.
To be a good actor, you have to have no shame. So now, when I learned, no, the magic is in... And I keep giving this example of how to have an affair.
Yeah.
When there was this sex sequence in the play, and I remember I just didn't want, kissing. Yes. And I was like, that's boring. And I never knew what I wanted. I just knew I wanted a movement sequence. In my mind, I was like, we're going to do like a movement sequence. By the time what I'm enjoying is sex, it's like, oh my God, wow. But now I was stuck. I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. So
every time we get to that part, and I don't know if you can remember this, Nice and Charlie would just go,
yes, rehearsals,
And I remember one day I was like, let's do that.
Yeah.
They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, that. They're like, you must be. I'm like, no, we are doing that. And it's, I think one of the things I really, really am grateful for is embracing raw moments. That is the magic. The magic is, it's like when we say there's no big break. It's the job that the voiceover job you got.
Yeah.
And then you got this play. And then you got a TV series. And that's the big break.
It's the culmination of all these small steps that you keep taking.
Yes. And you have to be comfortable.
Yeah.
With failing in front of people. You have to be comfortable in being vulnerable and one of the words for me, or one of the papers on my vision board this year, is restoring a rusty ride. So as I said, my background is in musical theater, and I really, really enjoy singing. But I think because of, I've already branded myself as an actor, and after the only projects I did were like musicals and stuff like that, but I haven't like actively put myself out as a singer. But the past 2 years I've been just feeling that in me. I really want to get back to it, but it's so scary. I mean, first of all, I can feel that my voice is not what it used to be. I can see that even in terms of skill, because skill comes with practice. If you're not practicing, you're obviously not going to be at the same level.
Yes.
But then you've already established yourself as an authority in a certain industry. And so you're branching out to something else that people don't know you for.
Yeah.
It's so scary. Yeah. It's like people are about to discover that I'm a fraud. They're going to know I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
And so this year is me failing loudly. It's me trying to walk again as a singer. And then jog and then run.
Yeah.
And eventually, hopefully, I can get to a place where I'm like now I'm really comfortable with my voice and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so rawness, and vulnerable moments. Yeah. That's the magic. That's where the magic is.
Because the next question I was going to ask is, and I think we've talked about it, is do you ever remember a time where you didn't show up as yourself?
Oh my God, so many times.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh Lord.
What were the things you would do where even you would know you're like, I'm doing myself a disservice? Or would it happen at that moment, or is it later when you realize and you're like, yeah, that was not Nyokabi?
Wow. Well, there are moments, like I know they are.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, like, what was that thought process at the time? There's this thing, I keep going back to acting, but it's because it's my career.
Yes.
When you haven't done the work in acting, you'll overdo it. You'll notice every time you haven't done the work.
Yeah.
Now you're overacting. Now you're overcompensating.
Because you want to be. It's like, hey, you're trying to hide the fact that you didn't do the work.
Yes.
And so, okay, that makes sense.
So for me, times that I've not showed up as myself as Nyokabi, I'll overcompensate. I'll overcompensate things. It will be ingenuity will be written all over it. So I find myself overcompensating in that moment. Yeah. And even upping myself. You know, it's like I've done more than I actually have.
Yeah.
And it hits you in that moment when you said something, and sometimes you'll be talking to someone who's so comfortable in their skin, they're just like, okay. Yeah. That's nice. Oh yeah, and also actually, you know, I've done this, and then I'll be like, yeah, it's really nice. That's so amazing. I'm really happy for you. Yeah, and actually, overcompensation for me is that indicator of not showing up as myself. Yeah. And it's also, and I guess also feelings of jealousy and anger.
Can we talk about that?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's one of the most complicated. Jealousy is such a complicated feeling. Yeah. It's like, I can't explain. I love you, Muthoni, but you see, we don't talk about it because it makes you feel like it makes you look like a bad person. Yeah. But I love your equipment. I want it. Yeah. How else can I say that I want what you have? Yeah. But also I want to be in a space where I'm content. But I can't run away from the fact that Muthoni, you're where I want to be. Yeah. And when we walk into a space and I see people acknowledging you, like,
Nizos are Godwin. Whenever someone goes like Godwin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
I get it so much.
When I found that when I'm not showing up as myself, which is reminding myself that you have your own journey, you have your own power. Yeah. I will be a nasty human being to others around me. Yeah. Because I'm already having negative feelings towards me. Yeah. And so I put out the same energy to the person who's next to me. Yeah. And so that also for me is usually an indicator that there are feelings of inadequacy.
Yeah. And then now, do you go inwards and go like, let's see where this is coming from?
In the moment, I don't think so.
Okay. But later on, you'll be like, yes. Okay. Because I think that's important. Because there's people who don't.
Important. And you see now, you have to confront that.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge the fact that, because a lot of the time, jealousy for me is a feeling that I never want to acknowledge.
Yeah. It's like, it's a shameful, again, we go back to shame. You feel like ashamed admitting that, because one, again, we grew up with, we're not supposed to want things that other people have.
Yes.
And then also you're like, it's like I'm saying I don't like what I already have.
Right.
So you're ashamed to acknowledge or even say it out loud, because I don't think we talk about jealousy much.
I don't think we talk about it.
We don't talk about envy. And for me, I think jealousy comes from a point of desire. You desire those things.
Yes.
That's why you're like, oh, because so sometimes the words that I use is I'd say I can't wait for when it's my turn. I can't wait. So it's like I'm not like mbona endo amepeo, because again also we, instead of feeling like I don't want to take yours, because also sometimes I think we think that in my having that means they can't have. It's like there's enough for all of us. I'm not trying to take yours.
Yes.
But I also want my own. I also want that car. I also want that house.
Yeah.
I also want that man.
Yeah.
Okay, not the specific man.
Yeah.
That kind of love, let's say, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
I'm just, so for me, I think it comes from a point of desire.
Absolutely.
But it's because people never taught us about desire.
Right.
We were always taught about jealousy.
Right.
So we've never correlated the two.
Ooh,
right?
I see. So therefore, it's always a negative thing.
Yes.
I see that.
So I think we can flip the switch and be like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'd love that for me too.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't love what I have.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind having that.
You know, one of the things that a friend of mine taught me how to confront like feelings of jealousy and envy